I'm Claire. If you're watching this, then you might remember the story behind this shirt. And you're wondering, oh God, what's she done to piss off the fantasy gods this week? And if this is your first time here, then all you need to know is that I have no clue what I'm talking about, but I'm going to talk about it anyway. Today, you guessed it, we're talking about fantasy. And y'all, we did it. We finally won a fantasy game. It only took us 6 weeks, but we won. By a lot, too. And if you don't believe me, that's okay. I don't blame you. I don't really believe it myself. So I will be putting the proof up on the screen somewhere. Partly for you guys. Mostly for myself. Because, again, I am shocked that we came away with a win. Especially since the cousin I'm playing this week, or the cousin I played this week, yeah, she fielded a full team. All 9 players. And we still beat her. This is the happiest I've been in a while. But the question is, after all of my fantasy football struggles, how did we win? In the past, and when I say past, I mean the distant past, like seasons ago past, we would win our games mostly by either relying on Kareem Hunt until he got arrested, or by relying on our opponents to have truly terrible games. I'm not going to say that my cousin had a spectacularly good week, because she didn't. But I'm also not going to say that she had a disastrously bad week. Against another team, she might have won. She had C.J. Stroud, who got her 18 points. She had Chris Boswell, who got her 17 points as a kicker, which, weirdly enough, this is the 3rd time this season that our opponent's kicker has gotten 17 or more points, which is, I don't know, it's a weird little statistical anomaly, I guess. I don't know. I'm really tired of these kickers doing really well against us. That being said, I feel like going forward, I should be telling y'all who my opponent's kicker is going to be, so that all y'all who play fantasy football can adjust accordingly, because there's like a 50% chance that that kicker is going to have an amazing game. And you should trust me. I got a degree in math. That's totally how stats and probabilities work. Back to my cousin. She also had Green Bay's defense. Green Bay's defense was surprisingly good, considering that Fox had them ranked very low defensively going into week 6. And also, you know, they've had defensive struggles in the past. So for them to get 11 points is, you know, impressive for Green Bay. And a few of my cousin's players, Kamara, Lamb, and Bowers, they all had, you know, average weeks. They got what they were expected to get, what they were supposed to get, and, you know, sometimes that's all you can ask from a guy. But my cousin also had 3 guys who combined for less than 10 points. I'm sure my cousin would love to have a word with Mike Evans and Dontavian Wicks and Tank Bigsby, especially Tank Bigsby, who got 25 points last week and then got 2.4 this week. A little bit of a drop-off in quality. An ironic one, because my cousin had renamed her team after Tank Bigsby. I love irony when it's not happening to me. even with those three guys, she did end with around 94 points, and we've had trouble cracking the 90-point mark, let alone the 100-point mark this season. So, how did we end up with 124 points? And let me tell you, it wasn't the Jets' defense or their kicker. Zerlin, or however you say his name, was fine. If you call missing 2 field goals fine. Didn't affect our point total, but it was hard to watch, even as someone who doesn't care about the Jets. And speaking of the Jets, their defense kind of stunk it up on Monday. It was actually a rough game to watch all around. For all y'all Jets fans out there, I'm sure you're hoping your team is going to start looking for other options for defensive coordinator, because Monday night's game wasn't it. But turns out we didn't actually need the Jets or Zerlin to win our game. We had already won by Monday night, which is incredible all on its own. I mean, watching that defense, I was a little worried that they'd somehow get negative 20 points, but they didn't. They were in the positives. Not by a lot, but they were. The point is, we didn't need them. And we didn't need Kirk Cousins either. And right now, if you're thinking, why the hell did she put Kirk Cousins in? That's a good question. And the answer is 509 yards. I saw that and I went blind. But it's not like keeping Kyler Murray in would have helped us out much more. So I'm okay with the decision I made. Not happy with it, but okay with it. Especially since we won. Speaking of winning, on to the part that actually matters. The how of winning. And, I can't be completely sure, but I think our victory has something to do with, Sam Laporta's 52-yard receiving touchdown. Or, if you don't like that, maybe it had something to do with Deebo Samuel's 70-yard receiving touchdown. Or Zay Flowers' 18 points, or nearly 18 points, without scoring a single touchdown. Or if we want to focus on the guys who actually did score touchdowns, maybe it has to do with DeAndre Swift living up to his name and getting nearly 120 yards with a touchdown. Or maybe it was Bijan finally showing up, getting 2 rushing touchdowns. Kirk Cousins wasn't passing the ball, but at least he was giving it to Bijan to run it in. I do appreciate that. More of that. Needless to say, we actually had a stellar week. Our guys finally decided to come together and all play well in the same week. Because we've had guys before, usually DeAndre, frankly, who've done really well and scored big points, but it's always on the week when the other guys drop the ball. Sometimes literally. This week, though, they finally coordinated to get us a win. Presumably because they watched these videos and felt some pity for us. That being said, I am blowing all of the goodwill that we've accrued on 2, we're going to call it petty moves. The first was I sent a lovely picture to the cousin that I beat, just to rub it in, because, what's fantasy football without a little trash talking? And, of course, a name change was in order. So we are now the Unstoppable Juggernauts. I'm sure that's not going to come back to haunt us. Just like making these t-shirts for Thanksgiving that one year didn't come back to bite us in the ass. But, now that we've won a game, I think we should just call it. End the season now. Just announce that whoever got the most points this week is the winner, and forget about the rest of the season. At least that's my brilliant idea for this season. I don't think that the commissioner will go for it because he is losing his game bad this week. But I think it's an idea worth exploring. Yeah. He should give it some thought. In all seriousness, I probably shouldn't gloat too much. We're still 11th, but not last. Not last. And my opponent next week has Saquon Barkley and Derrick Henry. And on top of that, DeAndre Swift is on his bye week. So, not sure how we're going to adjust to that. Especially now that, since we're no longer in last place, we don't have top waiver priority, which was, honestly, the only silver lining of losing every game to start the season. Wasn't much of a silver lining, and we made bad moves with our waiver picks, but now we don't even have that. We're not last anymore, though, so I really shouldn't be complaining too much. Replacing DeAndre Swift is going to be tricky, but not as tricky as trying to convince him to play for another team during his bye week. So I'll just have to figure something out. I don't know what, but I have no clue what I'm talking about, especially when it comes to fantasy football.